You might notice physically on my face it's a bit droopy today. I went through a stage where they have diagnosed it to be a form of Bell's palsy, which mimics a minor stroke. A minor stroke, يعني, which is a prelude to a heart attack. Alhamdulillah, doctors and all that, they said if there was a blood clot, then Alhamdulillah, Allah made it vanish before it took a serious effect, which would have preceded into a full-on heart attack and stuff like that. So we don't know what it is, inshallah ta'ala, but have patience with me, inshallah ta'ala, especially with my fair, Sheikh Ahmed. The letter fair in Arabic, you have to use both lips. So half my lips and half my face is a bit weak, so bear with me, inshallah ta'ala. Without taking too much of your time, we're living in days where we cannot find any solution for our problems. Marital, friendship, family issues, work-related issues, emotional situations, how to overcome, how to cope. Okay? Learning this seerah, and we said seerah is a compilation which comprises the life events of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from the cradle to the grave. This is what we're learning. And what's so fascinating about the seerah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is that you would learn how to overcome emotional situations, life-changing choices. Because we are learning the choices and learning certain situations and toils and tribulations and events that took place even before the message of Islam was conveyed on the hands of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why it's very important. So we mentioned Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. We mentioned the teenage years, and we said there's not much events that we can derive from seerah that we can share with you that happened in the lifetime of the teenage years of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we will go through one event before we get to the meeting of Sayyidina Khadijah. Prophet Muhammad, when he met the businesswoman, the honorable entrepreneur. And the scholars of Islam like Ibn Hisham and Ibn Ishaq, they said at the age of maybe 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years of the Prophet's age, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took part in some tribal wars. He wasn't battling per se, but like in Harb al-Fijar, Sulhat al-Fudul, Afwan, Hilf al-Fudul, and stuff like that. Something happened between Quraysh, Bani Quraysh and Bani Qais and Bani Kinana and all that. A tribal, yani Arab tribes between one another from Mecca and from Ta'if and so forth. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that I used to participate in these battles when my uncles were fighting. And as a youngster, I used to pick up the arrows and give it back to my uncle so he can shoot the arrow again. And he actually praised one of those battles because it was a fight for justice. A fight for justice and a fight for honor. But the Prophet even praised that battle later on after prophethood, even though that battle took place in a time of ignorance, Jahiliyyah. For Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as we said, in these teenage years, from the age of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, he was working as a shepherd for hire. We said that he was a shepherd for hire sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he used to be hired by the elite of Mecca to take the herd of sheep and the like to the high grounds and the highlands of Mecca, where the green pasture is. So he'll feed them, take care of them for a few days, a few nights, until they have their fill, and he'll bring them back full to the brim, and he will hand them over to the owners of that herd. And he will only get paid a measly amount. Yani sometimes you only get paid with dates, paid with sultanas, paid with the feed. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaching us how to be humble, how to be humble. But it's not expected for me and you to be that humble. If you have the right as a Muslim to receive wages according to your what are they called? Qualifications. Okay, according to qualifications and according to your physical strength and how you are able to participate in that work. Okay. But Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is being now nurtured by Allah Azza wa Jal. Nurtured why? Because when you receive a measly amount, a measly wage for taking care of a herd for days and days and just receiving a handful of dates and sultanas, is there a bit of feedback? Is it annoying anybody, the feedback? A little bit? Because his nation will come, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the nation of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they'll be a very difficult nation. We are a very difficult nation to handle. But the more difficult nations were the nations before Sayyidina Rasulullah. Bani Israel, the children of Israel. The ones that الذين قتلوا الأنبياء, the ones that killed the prophets and messengers of Allah. But the nation of Sayyidina Rasulullah will begin difficult. And we learned this when he received the message in the first year, that he had to give a quiet da'wah, a personal da'wah, that convey your close companions, ashiratuka, okay, convey your close ones, ya Muhammad, meaning his ahl, his uncles, his family and his household. So convey the message only to them. And then when it became a bit more widespread, okay, it started having backlash and so forth. We'll get to it, inshaAllah ta'ala. But that's why Allah Azza wa Jal inspired Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to accept these miserly wages. Okay, we said they worked for a few days, a few nights, and you only get a handful of dates. But he didn't give up, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, kept on working. Now, when he's around at the age of 20, 22, 23, the older sister of Sayyidina khadijah radiallahu anha actually owned a herd of sheep. Look at the work of Allah Azza wa Jal. As if this became now the meeting, the cause of the meeting between Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his future wife Sayyidina Khadijah radiallahu anha. Yani, if we listen carefully, it's almost a romantic story. Okay, if we look into it. And we'll learn that how the young boys are allowed to meet women, and how the women are allowed to instigate a marriage. Okay, so let's listen carefully to this. It's very, very relevant to the youth to take upon themselves and how to approach this kind of romantic situations, these delicate situations, this emotional situation with the opposite gender. Okay. The older sister of Sayyidina Khadijah radiallahu anha wa ardaha, she actually hired Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a shepherd, take care of her flock. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was known to be a shepherd for hire. And she hired someone else as well to accompany Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because we said before that the shepherd used to take turns, night shift, day shift, so they can rest between the shifts. Okay? And we said what happened in the previous situation when Sayyidina Rasulullah was 13 years old and he wanted to go hang out with the boys. Do you remember? And then when he went to Mecca, he left his work and went to Mecca. And as he met up with the boys of Mecca, they heard music. You know? And the Prophet, the first time he heard something like this, because Allah has saved him. And we said it's inayat Allah, that it's Allah's preservation over the Prophet. And Allah's ever watchfulness over His slave if He wants to preserve him and prepare him for a responsibility, a role which has honor and so forth. And we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the boys around him said it's a wedding, okay, and the Prophet said let's go, but Allah made him sleep and he didn't wake up the next day and he missed the whole wedding, didn't take part of it, nor did he hear the music. Allah protected his ears and protected him from participating in that haram environment. Then next day he won't do it again. Subhanallah, there was another wedding. And then Allah made him fall asleep again. Then Sayyidina Muhammad realized sallallahu alayhi wa sallam what? Okay, this is not for me. He understood, he was inspired. Okay? Now, Sayyidina Khadijah radiallahu anha wa ardaha. Sayyidina, the older sister of Sayyidina Khadijah, has hired Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right? And now he's working for the older sister of Sayyidina Khadijah as a shepherd. Now, Sayyidina Khadijah radiallahu anha, we haven't got too much time to go into her biography, her previous marriages, and how she inherited her wealth from her second and final husband. And in the time of Jahiliyyah, the women had no right to inherit. Okay? And how did she inherit the money from her husband, and how she invested money and to become an entrepreneur in business, in export and import, in trade. And this was only known for men. Okay? We'll jump to straight into her empire. For now she's looking for trustworthy agents. Because even the women in those days, the Arabian women had honor, had modesty, had chastity. Okay, they will protect the honor, they will protect their modesty. So they won't come and go, especially the honorable woman from an honorable lineage and so forth. So she used to hire men of business from Quraysh, known as businessmen. They used to go with the caravan of Rihlat al-Shita, it was safe, the winter and summer caravan. Okay, they will travel in seasons from Mecca to Sham, from Sham to Mecca, Mecca to Yemen, and they'll follow the seasons and the produce that's wanted in those countries. Her older sister at that time was with her. Said, "Oh, my sister, I experienced something which is very rare. I experienced honesty and trust from a young man of Quraysh. His name is Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And I only witnessed honesty from him, that every time that I wanted to give him his wages, he will send Maysara. He will send his friend to pick up the wages, because he had modesty, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I speak to him, he will put his gaze down, he won't speak to me and gaze upon me. But he had modesty and honesty. And he had chivalry, gentleman. So I believe he's the man for you. So I said, okay, we'll try him out. And this is the first time she actually met Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, Sayyidina Muhammad is a young man now, at the peak of his young adulthood, as they say. Okay. So he was at the age of 22 or 23 when he was hired by Sayyidina Khadijah radiallahu anha to be an agent for her. And the wages that she used to give wasn't wages, was a percentage from the winnings. It's called mudaraba in Arabic. Yani, Islamically it's allowed as long as it's within the borderlines of the financial Islamic way, which there's no usury. Okay. So usually she'll make a deal with them first that, look, you'll get maybe 40% of the winnings. رأس المال is for her. Okay, so the winnings, the earnings, the winnings that you make from all the produce, okay, that you sell, 30 or 40% for argument's sake is for you, and 60 or 70% of the winnings for me. If they come to an agreement, he'll be on his way. Now, what's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of allowing the agent to have a bit of room to deal with the prices he sells, if he's on percentage pay, commission?
Make you more money. He'll make you more money.
So he'll try to make you more money so he can receive more quantity in the percentage. So she's very smart, radiallahu anha. But subhanAllah, throughout the ages, they will still steal from her. They would lie to her and steal from her. And she knows the product, she knows how they buy and sell and how they deal. But she kept quiet, radiallahu anha. Even before Islam, she had modesty, she had honesty, she had contentment in what Allah Azza wa Jalla has given her. So he went on that trip, and he went with her, Maysara. Maysara is the one, the businessman that went before Sayyidina Rasul, so he had a bit of experience. So he accompanied Sayyidina Muhammad at the age of 23. Now this is a very important event that took place. We spoke about the monk that seen the Prophet at the age of 12 years old, Mahak, the first trip to Sham with Abu Talib, right? And we said Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq as well accompanied Abu Qahafa, his father. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr was 10 years old. Okay, that journey. And the monk seen what he's saying from Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, so 10 years later, what's happening? 11 years later, what's happening? Sayyidina Rasulullah is going on the same journey, but as a man, as a businessman. Subhanallah, because the route that they take is the same highway, the same business highway. So he passed that land in Sham, okay, in Sham. Some say it's in Jordan now, where the Sahab al-Hayy is located, the ever-living companion, which is the tree. It's just a nickname they give it. That Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat underneath the same tree to rest. And this monk, it's like deja vu for him. But with the older Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he walked up to Maysara. Sayyidina Rasulullah, always when he relaxes, he's in contemplation. Even before Prophet, he's always thinking. He's a heavy thinker sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Something, it's a fitrah for him. And he has fatana, smartness, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this monk said again, what's the name of that man sitting underneath that tree? He said, that's Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Look what the monk said, simple words. Like he said, because from what I know, the ones that sat before him underneath that tree were prophets. What did he say? The men that sat underneath that tree were prophets or became prophets. He didn't say he's going to become prophet. He said, strange, because usually only men that become prophets sit underneath that tree. As was told to us that prophets sat underneath that tree. When did they sit underneath that tree? If we can recall the hadith of Sayyidina Rasulullah, when 70 odd so of prophets and messengers will, after the time of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, after the building of the Kaaba, after the adhan to Hajj, okay, that 70 Anbiya and messengers were recorded from the progeny of Sayyidina Ibrahim to have made Hajj from Sham to Mecca. And what's that well, that bi'r shifa that we drink from? Ya Rab. العودة. That beer الشفاء that we drink from, Bobo. Right? That world, that's the world that 70 prophets drank from. And that's the same world that Sayyidina Rasul تفل فيها صلى الله عليه وسلم وعطر الماء بريقه الشريف صلى الله عليه وسلم. That's the same world on just outside of Medina. As you leave Medina to Mecca, from Mecca to Medina, you find that world. Okay? Allah has blessed us and with our shaykh and with our family to drink from that well, Wallahi alhamd. And wallahi, we received shifa straight away. Wallahi. Ya Rab. Some of those prophets on the way there, on the way to pilgrimage, they will stop at that tree in Sham, which is more close to the Hijaz, they'll rest there. So he recognized that in the Qasr al-Anbiya, before Sayyidina Rasulullah, the stories of the Prophets sallallahu alayhi wasallam, stories of the Anbiya, alayhim salatu wasalam ajma'een, they were known to relax and rest underneath that tree. But that's what the monk said. Strange, but usually only men who become prophets or are prophets sit underneath that tree. Allahu Akbar. On the way back, he finished his business. He came back, he made double, triple, and in one hadith, quadruple the amount of profit that any caravan ever made. Double, triple the profit. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So when he came back, he told exactly what happened, but on who? Using Maysara as a messenger, because he was too shy. So Sayyidina Maysara told khadijah the story and so forth. Okay. Who was there at that time? Her older sister was there as well. And Nafisa, her name is Nafisa, she was an elderly woman. She was a friend, a companion of Sayyidina Khadijah as well. She used to visit her here and there. As they're speaking about the integrity and the modesty and the honesty and the chivalry of Sayyidina Rasulullah, and in amazement how on his hands we received triple the amount of winnings that's never known in history. So as if they are acknowledging this man, from him emanates something special, a form of blessings. It's like when Sayyidina Halim al-Sa'diyya, when she was barren from milk, and then she held him close to her chest, to herself, and she felt the milk produced, and then her donkey became the fastest donkey. The herd in Bani Sa'd ibn Bakr, mashallah, they become one of the Wagyu meat has nothing on them. Mashallah, very, very luscious. So they understood Allah started to rain, beneficial rain, the crops will sprout and so forth. So they understood, even not knowing spiritual benefits, not knowing from a spiritual point of view, but they know from a human point of view that something special about this boy, something special about this teenager. Only goodness happens when he's around. You have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it. If the barakah, if the blessings are emanating from the Prophet for his surroundings, imagine the barakah of the Prophet after he became a Prophet. Allahu Akbar. The blessing in the nur after he seen Allah. The blessings in the nur after he ascended to the heavens. The blessings in the nur after he seen Sayyidina Jibreel. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. For Nafisa, as an old experienced woman, she's seen the emotion on the face of Sayyidina Khadijah change. As if now she was interested, she didn't want to stop hearing about this man, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But she said, as friends, as girlfriends, as I speak, do you have an interest for him? She goes, he's very interesting, and very, very rare for anyone to have these blessings and this perfect characteristics within a man, a young man. A man is not even married. The young men are prone to steal and make money so they can get married. he did not lie, and blessings on his hand. Blessings were only upon his hand, and so forth. He said, I'm actually interested. It was said in one narration that Nafisi spoke on Sister Khadijah's behalf. Some said Sister Khadijah spoke. She hinted to the Prophet ﷺ. Sister Nafisi went to visit Sayyidina Nabi ﷺ, and as a strong character of a woman, said, Ya Muhammad, you're a man of interest for Khadijah, and she wants to marry you. And the Prophet ﷺ now went quiet. He's thinking to himself, look, he didn't say, yeah, I want to get married. No, he's thinking. He's pondering, contemplating. And you know what he said to Nafisa? Limada? Why does she want to marry me? I'm poor, I'm an orphan, yatim. I have no father, no mother. And usually the Arabs would engage in one another, marry one another for the family lineage, for the honor of the lineage. So I said, I have none of that. I'm disconnected. Why does she want to marry me? And left her at that. And then she explained to him, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She explained to him is what she's seen in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what she's seen in the young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he went to his father figure, Abu Talib, and he told him the situation, what happened. Abu Talib actually was excited. Sayyidina Khadijah binti Khuwaylid anha was a woman of stature, a woman of honor, a woman of chaste. That's why men would run and ask for her hand after one husband dies. And no one divorced her, nor did she divorce anyone. The husband will die at an early age. And the men she married were honorable. Were very Hatim Tayyib, we say. They were very generous men, very honorable Arabs. And look at Allah paired her with as well. So she had 3 or 4 children with the first husband, but she had no children with the second husband. And that's why she inherited the wealth of her husband, because they both had no children. And her husband loved her so much, he actually wrote a wasiyah. Everything goes to Khadijah binti Khuwaylid. And that's why she invested the money in the wealth. And that's how Sayyidina Rasulullah met Sayyidina Khadijah, through business, through honest business. So working could be the cause of the young men getting married, okay? But make sure you be careful where you work. And as well, this teaches for our sisters, is it haram for women to work? No, unless the woman works within the boundaries of modesty in Islam. Okay, we'll leave it at that unless you have questions later on. And then Abu Talib had to pay the dowry. He said that the dowry of Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ to Sayyidina Khadijah, the mahar, the dowry payment for marriage, will be 12 uqiyah. Uqiyah is the ulama now have estimated to be maybe $300, $500, $600 Australian, $700 Australian. Yani a mahar. Who's going to accept that? Which woman? Okay? So that shows us as well that Sayyidina Khadijah accepted that low amount. Okay, usually women won't accept that low amount back in those days. No, I won't accept that. And as well, it teaches us that the mahar amongst the Arabs was always there. And it became a legislation in the marital contract of Islam. So it kept on going. So that as well, we learned that if something was done in that ignorance, which does not go against the morals of Islam or the morals of the Sunnah, it's adopted, but it is beautified with Islam. Okay? Any questions, inshaAllah? Any questions about anything? Marriage, girls? Halal, of course. No.
Even when she asked for the Prophet's hand in marriage, he had to pay mahar.
Did the Prophet pay mahar?
Yeah, even though she asked for him.
Yes. Good point, subhanallah. the brother said, even though that Sayyidina Khadijah proposed to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, realistically she proposed. For this shows us as well the honor of the Arabs had. What the man is responsible for will always hold that responsibility, and if he doesn't, then he's not a man in our eyes. So as if they're proving, no, even though she asked for his hand, we are actually honored. So now we are asking for your hand before you ask for his hand. This is the honor of the Arab. And given the honor of the woman, as if they're saying, Ya Khadijah, stay on your platform, stay on your maqam. Okay? So, even till now, even if the Muslimah tells her father, her uncle, instigate the marriage for me, literally she's asking to get married to him. He didn't come first. Then when the father, the uncle, or the mother, so forth, get involved, as they do, if the boy accepts, then he has to go now and what? Make it more formal and what? Not go down on his hands and knees. Just propose to her, inshallah. And if his father's alive and his wali amr is alive, then his guardian proposes. He keeps quiet. Now, we get something?
Yeah, I want to ask what's the best way to approach a girl halal?
Okay. In what sense? To ask for her hand or to get to know her? Like, don't be shy now. Get to know her. Because of social media that we're going through, right? Social media. Yani, whether we like it or not, there's a wavelength there of connection between the two genders. Okay? So let's see how we're going to ride the wavelength according to the system of Islam or close to it without falling off out the boundaries of Islam, which will get attacked by evil and get attacked by the beasts. Look, the best way is always two families involved. Get the families involved. For example, you heard about this young girl, maybe in a Kuwait school, in an Islamic school, Quran classes in the mosque, okay? Quran classes in the mosque, going on a picnic trip with your parents, okay? We're giving you the cleanest scenarios. Alright, not going out clubbing. Okay, I don't want to use that. Let's use the cleanest, okay, you were laughing, man. The cleanest scenarios. Okay? فَاللَّهُمَّ صَلِّ عَلَى سَيِّدِنَا Muhammad. Always get the family involved. Get the family involved. Okay? If you got a sister, that should get to know her. Get your sister to speak to her, for example. And try not to communicate with one another. First step. Communicate through the sister or through the mothers or the aunties. Because don't forget that someone's sister, someone's daughter. Like you will have a daughter, you will have a wife, and you have a sister. Okay? We have to use that common sense. Okay? And how would you want your daughter to be treated? How would you want your sister to be treated? The way you're trying to connect to that girl. Imagine one of the boys comes to you and says, I was speaking to your sister, cuz, and I want to get married to her, cuz. What are you going to do, cuz? You're going to chop his throat off, cuz. That's what you're going to do. Mahak, so think before you act and implement. What would I do? The Prophet said, why does she want to marry me? There was an interaction, but he wasn't using himself. He was using who? Maysara. He was using his co-worker. Okay? Maysara is his mate. Okay? But now we don't use boys to go speak to girls. We speak our sisters, our aunties, our mothers to Momo, auntie, 1, 2, 3. I'm interested. And now another thing is that's the halal way. Okay? Now let's say, can I speak to her on the phone? The blunt answer is no. Can I speak to her on WhatsApp? No. Can I speak to her on Facebook? No. Why? I'm just giving you the clean scenario. Okay, because all you boys are clean, you're still in a clean environment. Unless you have another question, and the question that you put forth is how I'm able to answer that question. So now, according to your question, this is how I'm answering it. Okay? So is that understood, inshallah ta'ala? No.
Just along that same question, along the lines,
a lot of the boys are in the process of speaking to someone already.
نعم.
How do they go about to make that right or wrong?
Okay, here it's not that easy to give just a blunt or generic answer. But what we can give to a blunt generic answer is make sure that there's tidiness in the speech, Mahak. When you speak to someone, how do you speak? How do you speak to the girl? I want your number, I want to see you in mini dress. Boys? Sheikh Ahmed said, some brothers are on that path already, maybe communicating with a girl, a Muslim girl, interested in getting engaged. Mahak? We say, as we were taught by our elders and our parents and our mashayikh, and in this day and age, it's a different approach in our advice now, is that the words are clean. The words are clean. There's no show me this, show me that, show me a picture. There's no dirty language. Because once that happens, the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, not to be harsh, because your sisters and your daughters and your wives are my sisters. They're my honor. Ardul Muslimin arduna. This is the Muslim, that the honor of a Muslim is my honor. You dishonor my honor, disrespect my honor, then you have disrespected me, my honor. So that's why I'm gonna kind of be harsh as well, so it can sort of be imprinted in our thoughts. So what are we up to? So clean words, okay? Clean words. We know what clean words are. We don't have to use examples, Mahak. So that's the best way to come to Sheikh Ahmed. Clean words. And let one of her family and your family from the women know. Her mother, her auntie, her sister, her uncle. Someone old, not someone young that's not married and that has kids as well. Okay? And the best thing is to seek advice from your elders or your guardian or someone that you trust from the elders, from the old shabab. That's the best way. And that's probably a generic way we can answer it. No.
Going back to the topic, how old was Sayyidina Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam?
نعم. فسيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, according to consensus, he was 25 years old when he married Sayyidina khadijah radiallahu anha. And it is said in truly a weak narration that she was 40 years old, but in a true narration that she was actually 28 years old. 28. That's the age of Sayyidina Khadijah. But that's not a problem. She was 5 years old than him, she was 10 years old than him. Not a problem. That's not a problematic issue for us to debate about or to have conflicts about. It's got nothing to do with Islam, nor do with Iman. Okay? بإذن الله تعالى. نعم. Anything else, inshallah ta'ala?